Hello everyone, my name is Elizabeth Moen, and on behalf of Poetry Ireland, I'm extremely happy to welcome you here tonight to the first of two readings taking place as part of the Poetry Ireland Introduction Series 2021. When we invited emerging poets to apply for this series last winter, we received back an avalanche of work from over 200 poets, which is over 2,000 pages of poetry. Thankfully, this was the first year that we accepted email submissions, or I think our postman might have gone on strike. We were so fortunate to have award-winning poet Sean Hewitt as our English language adjudicator and to have the incredible Afric McKay deliberating over our Irish language submissions. From that sky-high pile, they chose the poets that you'll be hearing from tonight. As a little bit of background, Poetry Ireland has hosted introductions every year since 1989. The poets who have come through the series over the years include Stephen Sexton, Doreen Negrifa, Pat Boren, Victoria Kennefic, John McAuliffe, amongst countless other world-class poets who have gone on to publish seismic first, second, and subsequent collections. The aim of the series is to provide talented new poets with the opportunity to work with top-tier mentors, who this year included Sean, Afric, as well as Jessica Traynor and Anne-Marina Coran. Most importantly, however, introductions helps to forge new connections and friendships amongst the poets who take part. The work you'll be hearing tonight is accomplished, imaginative, radical, and moving. I won't delay any further and will now introduce our first two poets, as well as Bróna Keogh, who we're extremely excited will be joining us tonight for some music. This event will run straight through with no interval, so after we hear from Bróna, I'll introduce our final three poets, and then we'll close out with one last song. So first up, we have Sacha White. So Sasha is currently working towards a master's in poetry at Queen's University Belfast. Sasha was a 2020 recipient of the Ireland Chair of Poetry Student Award. She's a contributing editor for The Tangerine. She's been published in The Honest Ulsterman, and she's produced several commissioned poems for theatre and visual arts projects. Owen Mcavoy is a poet, translator, and word artist who works through Irish in a variety of media. His work has been published in The Stinging Fly, Fasta, Core, and Green Carnations. He won one of the top prizes from REC for his rap Shama Spos, the top prize in the 2020 Forest na Gaeilge Poetry Competition for the blackout poem he made from the COVID-19 guidelines from an Ireland past, and the first prize in the 2014 poetry competition of the literary competition of the Oireachtas. Owen is the co-founder of the queer arts collective Erec Adec Grelec with fellow poet Ciara Ní. He works at the School of Irish, Celtic Studies and Folklore in UCD. Bróna Keogh is a soulful indie folk singer from Dún Laoghaire. Drawing inspiration from folklore, pop culture, and the magic of the natural world, she hopes to create a safe space for her listeners to connect with themselves and others on a deeper level. The past year has been fruitful with opportunity for Bróna, who has supported some of Ireland's most exciting performers, including Pillow Queens, Wyvern Lingo, Kida Barra, and It's Old Sea Legs. She will join Wyvern Lingo again on their Irish tour dates outside Dublin, and she's playing support for Danny Larkin at her show in Whelan's this Sunday. After a successful crowdfunding campaign, Bróna is excited to release two new singles relating to the collective traumas we endured over the past year and a half. You can keep up to date with their journey on Instagram and Facebook, at Bróna Keogh Show. So I'd now like to invite to the stage Sacha White.
And I just want to say thank you to everybody at Poetry Ireland, to all of the wonderful people that we had workshops with in October. I don't even know what month it is anymore. October. So Sean and Jessica and Anne-Marie, it was fantastic. I know that all the poets feel the same. It was amazing getting their insight. So I have a few poems which are a bit weird, so bear with me. I was planning to open with a joke about wearing a smock dress and being a Smock Alley Theatre, but I couldn't actually think of anything, so that's all you get, sorry. So my first poem is called The Sea Monster's Birthday Party. Having eaten his friends long ago, and with no family to speak of, born as he was from a fisherman's nightmare, it was surprising to see the turnout at the beach. Everyone wore their Sunday best, and when he slithered from the depths to blow out his candles, they pulled party poppers and sang "For He's a Jolly Good Fellow" as the streamers settled. He was having such a good time, licking blueberry frosting from one of his many tentacles, that he didn't notice the guests taking off their little party hats, readying the harpoon guns, slowly lowering a weighted net. The next couple of poems, and one of a later poem that I'll read, is from a project that I did about Hypatia, who was a mathematician, philosopher, and astrologer in ancient Greece. So she was eventually killed because of her intelligence and commitment to teaching at a university and several other things. But anyway, so this poem's called Almaguest, which is the name of a work that she produced about astrology. And it consisted of 13 books. 1. In which the celestial realm is an infinite speckled gobstopper with the earth at its crystallized apple-green core. 2. In which we discover that shadows are secretly blue, that this is the colour of the divine, that clear skies and gas fires are holy. 3. In which Helios is a long-distance lorry driver stuck on a ring road. 4. In which the moon's birth remains a mystery, but her mother is imagined as foreign and strange and probably dead. 5. In which we are very far away. 6. In which the world ends for 7 minutes, 31 seconds, and circadian rhythms experience minor disruption. Everyone sleeps in. 7. In which a star catalogue is released and red giants sell out in the first 2 weeks. 8. In which the zodiac constellations get a parade, and we remember Piscis Astrinius, southern fish, drinking the stream from Aquarius's picture to stop the others from drowning. 9. In which Uranus and Neptune are shy. 10. In which Venus and Mars go through the motions, both too old for this carry-on, as Vulcan dismantles the tennis courts for extra netting. 11. In which Jupiter obscures Saturn's gleaming rings, and the two bullies fight it out in the playground. 12. In which things are not what they seem, and everyone takes a step backwards. 13. In which paths diverge, stars scatter and burst. The next poem is also about Hypatia. She was a lot of people accused her of being a witch, because that's what happens when women do things in the past that they weren't meant to. So this is about this. It's the title of it is taken from a work, a kind of magical work that her father produced on signs and the examination of birds and the croaking of ravens. He had it on good authority her feet were webbed, and she took 3 salt baths a day to stop them chafing in sandals and bleeding all over the tiles. Those students of hers must have smelt the brine wafting from her suit on hot days, hanging heavy like a sea fog. Her old housekeeper spread it about that she only ate white food, butter beans in cream and bread soaked in sour goat's milk, to keep her skin soft and make her nails grow. The exception was Thursday, when she had steak tartare and big fat prawns in spicy tomato sauce, leaving empty heads scattered about the kitchen. To confirm this, he once picked through her bins and found tins and milk cartons, hair clippings, and a dark, sticky residue he took to be blood. Pigeons watched him. He heard she fed them, buying worms from the fishing tackle shop and crushing them onto the windowsill. He didn't come near the house again. Instead, he watched from afar as she conversed with devils, loud men who pulled up in ridiculous red cars and stayed all night. One brought her a hive of bees as a gift, then sang to her. In the morning, he screeched away in a cloud smelling of burnt rubber. She waved him off in her nightdress. On his last stakeout, he trained binoculars on her bedroom window, hoping to catch her in the act. At first, he mistook the squeak of shoe on metal for bats, didn't see her shimmy up the drain pipe. It was only when the tile fell and shattered on the street that he looked up and saw her standing on the roof, whispering to Ursha Minor and crying in an unfamiliar tongue. In a slight departure, the next one is about Miss Marple, because I'm a little bit obsessed with anything murder mystery, as my partner Dane will tell you if you talk to him. I watch them all the time. So this is called Miss Marple Goes to the Dentist. The waiting room is full of possible victims and likely suspects. They know something is going to happen because she's here. Everyone has stopped inviting her for dinner. It kills the mood when the inevitable body is discovered in the library. A blackmailer is exposed during cocktails. It's none of her business. Maybe they don't mind having friends with dark secrets. Maybe nobody cares how the cyanide got in the soup, or whose smoking gun has been thrown under the chaise longue. They only came in for a checkup, perhaps a filling, and now it looks like they'll be implicated in a murder. It throws off the rest of the week. No point making plans. Who knows how long it'll take for the culprit to be apprehended? Of course, everybody will have motive. Alibis will crumble. At least one person will have had an affair with the deceased. That's just the way things are here when she's around. The morning appointments carry on, and no one bats an eyelid when, as the clock strikes 12, somebody screams. And this poem is also about Hypatia, who I mentioned earlier. It's called Throws. In another life, she is a waitress in a small town ice cream parlour. She spends her days calculating the parabola of the waffle cones and scooping all the strawberry out of the Neapolitan and into her apron because it looks like sausage meat. In another life, she is a saint who has rapturous visions of angels and doves. She is beheaded, milk spurts from her neck. Her body is taken to a high mountain and buried. In time, monks discover her corpse intact and bottle her sweat, which heals the sick and smells divine. In another life, she is a farmhand who crushes grapes to oblivion by stomping them down with her feet. In theory, this is a romantic existence, but she spends most evenings bathing her aching muscles and prying scraps of grapeskin from underneath her toes. In another life, she is an aging model in Los Angeles, dictating her autobiography to a ghostwriter. She tells him of her meteoric rise to fame, the billboards of herself she erected all over town. Her trademarks include a hot pink Cadillac convertible and a tragic past. She says she loves it, the feel of silicone sliding under skin. In another life, she is a washerwoman, soaking bloody shirts by the riverbank, lathering them with tallow soap. Housewives watch as her hands, bleach burnt and sore, wring red out of their linen. They say she's a bad omen, that one glance can sour milk, cause acne, render a man impotent. In another final life, she is an astronaut giving a press conference in a crinkly white spacesuit. Later, on the moon, she finds a crater with her name on it and curls up inside, whispers to ground control that she is happy, at peace. She has no intention of coming back. Thank you very much.
Tá mé anna uíochas an deis bheith an seo agus mo chuid dáanta riint líb agus go háir Steve siúd atá an seo agus bhfuil Gaeilge agus mór go mé nach a caintlumm héine bheisma. So I'm going to read my poems in Irish, but I'll explain them in English before I start. So my first poem is about sex, and it has at its focus a sort of no strings attached relationship between two men. And throughout the poem, in the course of the poem, the boundary between the two men dissolves until they become one, and then when they crystallize into their own selves, the power dynamic between them has shifted, and so we're not sure of them which is the character, the eponymous character. And the title of the poem is Fuckboy. Gealan de bheorgait fúrú I híl, nach titi tú chuiche da angach a ríist. Ach taibh sin sé rót, is íran cead loi, agus déir de bhéil tá, har I níl I de chrí. De bhíon in a crystal, a churp in a léas. Ag únsaí de frisma, gnéantar dí tisma. Ligan tú úl ó las Smock go de bhéil, de bhalaí fullún, de chromáin san air. Trí fáil de chluise, cluistar scartna de bhéil. Is aithníonn ta inchen, gur sea iad go léir. Líontar de chéadthaí le cúracht a chnis. Líontar de chús go dtí nach leatú, ach leis. Trí wach imrisc de huaile a rúis ina slá, nó go núnan tú duile, scí an rá. Gan cheangal na rusc si bh tuairteáil déan tuirt, de chuid ingna na chracian seanis a gui burt, go spréithir do gá ina bháha go fial, ach go bháchar leis héine fúrú de híl. So I wrote that poem in the summer of 2020, but I wrote it about a time when I was single, before I was lucky enough to meet Jack Moriarty, who's here. And I think as he bothered coming tonight, it's only appropriate that I read a poem that I wrote for Jack earlier in the year while we were weathering one of the lockdowns together. So the poem is very short, but it's in a complex bardic metre called Rálnaíocht War, which the Philly used to practice centuries ago. So I'm not going to explain the rules of the metre because you all go to sleep, but you'll sense the metre from it because it makes the sounds in the poem ring off each other in a nice way. So it's a 4-line poem with a very simple title, Dawn de Jack. Rí rua mé I glúb cín de chléibh, spéir ganéal íomh héibh de hú. Lehéin sinne, láb láb, as ar an rá a rinne rúm. So that's that one. And my final poem is a translation. It's a bit longer, and I'm going to do something a bit strange. I've translated, it's a 1797 poem by the master poet Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, and I've translated it directly from German into Irish. The title in English, Der Zauberlehrling, it means the magician's apprentice or the sorcerer's apprentice. So if you've seen Fantasia, you'll know the story of the poem from the scene where Mickey Mouse, who is the apprentice, animates a broom and then fights with the broom to make it stop pouring water everywhere before it drowns the place. So the master magician comes back at the end and order is restored. So because the language is quite challenging, even if you speak Irish well, I want to help convey the drama of the poem by performing it in a slightly different way and dressing for the occasion. So if you'll bear with me, I'm just going to put this on. So. The title of the poem in Irish is Dalta an Drí. Said, as I'm the black sheep of the lot already, as the Irish speaker, I might as well go the whole hog and wear a cloak as well. Okay, so Dalta an Drí. Sioma hans, tá seandrí críanna bailí leis hiúil sa deire, mihid dá chuid taisí dríochta gníomhúchums me hiilse dhéanana. Gach éon chleas is bríthir, thug mé le mhaíad, tá le meag na fuíomhar is dinthe mise dríocht. Astric, déan do bhealach, le go meall thar iscón strahan, is go sníthe sé go caiseach, dá Eoin hain isteach sa tobán. Aire hanscúb súsca beoga, den chuid hain ó jobbe léine, fada hu I diola rósan, den inis de réir ma bhéintse. Bíoch péir a cosfút, is cligin the war. Brustig earth is boolroot, berlat an Corcán. Astrig, dien de valach, legum meal her isgon strahan. Is geschniehe shege cashach, da Eoin Mc is tach sa tuban. Feich, sin ag ricca hauen, tá sé ag an mrúchís hanna, is rash ball gedjauch, ag dirte lesh godana. Should ríist ag fille, tá an dauch boglán, tágach baulig schille, see fadlum lán. Chasse, Martha ruing, lán ar nuhan dead the heher. Och, Melaine is me jarmed Nílan briher fós im chuine. Briher ar vea hurra, tua ompu rash mar hastu. Och, shachu me fós ag umpid, bear a wad who reached it handscoop. Dirtin sé gan stena, iskesteach sa room, sruhan na geerte, in a níle choom. Stop is lorsin ormson ragrocht a changel, slaun an teia, tá ma tiesig fós a dola, fech an dracher, fech a eden. Och, over shori jaun, bahar orman tachtri chele, feckim wem an zielig schraue, is gach tarsach ze ag gele. Gjalta tá sa scoopse, tá sé bauer dúr, bíad waid a húrgum, bíad has a ciúm. Cad a bá leat mís gan zere, tá wem brehert tú a chuske, is fu jere do han ámad lel an jéir na bíle squilte. Fech se chú me, richt ag durte, seo mé nis im léam an nuasart, géle fúke, gélgam viente, luasgam harme jaun an tuart. Úl men spruk gedídach, tá sé in rá le, ligam os na fuishev, is dochas fil sa rash. Och, Melaine ger tá dá leisin ina seasa mar virtually, custníg mé an olg seo dhéiche, tá siad ard lán is olvi. Nílén stoplo flucht níos fliche, tá an siomers bar na céime, uafas an lín seo iske, éist a wáister, cahir éisteocht. Áise hún an seandri, wáister tá me bunk, glí mé de hashi, ach ní éister lum. Sinne jere scuba, steach sa chúne is a hashi, ná éistí gríomh lenach eile, ach le garm is til an seandri.
I'm Bróna, hello, how's it going? And yeah, I'll play a song. I'll do a song about sort of magic, but not really. And then I'll do one about another thing, and I'll tell you about it when I play it. This is called Sea Witch, and it was inspired by both struggles with mental health, but also The Little Mermaid, because they go kind of hand in hand. And the Ursula from The Little Mermaid, she's the witch in the story. And I guess I'm Ariel. Anyway. Strips your power and she drains your voice into a cockle shell you've worn around your throat. She is a sea witch come to rock the boat, so drain the water and dredge the tide. Don't give in to those yellow eyes, dive down to the cave dwellers. Sea witch, sea witch, sea witch. She wraps your body, makes you feel limp. The water's rising, but you can't swim, so you hold your breath and try not give up hope.
pray that someone's there to throw a rope. So drain the water and dredge the tide. Don't give in to those yellow eyes. Dive down to the cave dwellers. Sea witch, sea witch, sea witch. Drain the water and dredge the tide. Don't give in to those yellow eyes. Dive down to the cave dwellers. Sea witch, sea witch. It's a different space. Oh my God. Than a pub, like, do you know what I mean? I'm going to do another one. So yeah, magic and queerdom and stuff. Cool. So this is about someone who's trying to mask their sexual orientation. Let's say. I watch you on the couch. Your dick is out for anyone to see. You hold yourself so highly. I don't know if you could even see me. Looking back, it's not surprising that you don't love me anymore. No. Looking back, it's not surprising that you don't love me anymore, and I don't love you. I see your tattoos growing. It's starting to show that you don't even know yourself. You sniff your life away. You've started to become the man you know you don't have to be. Looking back, it's not surprising that you don't love me anymore. No, no. Looking back, it's not surprising that you don't love me anymore, and I don't love you. Looking back, it's not surprising that you don't love me anymore, and I don't love you. Looking back, it's not surprising that you don't love me anymore, and I don't love you. I see your mother crying, her heart is aching, wishing that you told her yourself. Your daddy's hoping you'll open up soon and tell him instead of throwing mud on yourself.
So next up, we have Sonya Gildea. And Sonia is the recipient of a Literature Bursary Award from the Arts Council. She's also the winner of the John McGahern Award, both in 2021. She recently received an Ireland Chair of Poetry Student Award, and her work is published in Cronogue, the Irish Times, the Stinging Fly, the Cormorant, the Night Heron Barks, the Maynard Journal of Poetry, Toka, and the Ireland Chair of Poetry Anthology Hold Open the Door. Sonia holds an MA in Creative Writing from UCD, and she's currently completing a short story collection as well as writing a first poetry collection in a chapbook. Will Keohane is a writer and poet from Limerick. His work has been published in Poetry Ireland Review, the Irish Times, and on RTE Radio's Sunday Miscellany. In 2019, he was shortlisted for the Hennessy Literary Award in the Emerging Poetry category, and in 2021, he was shortlisted for the Patrick Kavanagh Poetry Award. He holds an MA in Creative Writing from the University of Limerick. Laura McKenna's debut novel, Words to Shape My Name, was published by New Island in 2021 and shortlisted for the Kerry Group Irish Novel of the Year Award. Her poetry has been published in the Irish Times, the Sunday Independent, the Irish Examiner, and the Shop, and nominated for a Hennessy Literary Award in 2014 and 2019. She was awarded a John Montague Mentorship Bursary in 2019. Laura is the recipient of 2 Arts Council Literature Bursaries, and she has a PhD in writing from University College Cork. So please welcome Sonia Gildea.
A very quick thank you, if I can, on behalf of all the poets, to thank Elizabeth for everything that she's done to bring this together, to Niamh, to Paul and Owen at Poetry Ireland, and to everybody else there who's helped out. And we, the poets, especially wanted to give love and thanks to Jessica Traynor, Anne-Marie Caron, Afrique Mackay, and Sean Hewitt. Huge thanks. I'm going to read 2 poems that have been included in the Poetry Ireland anthology. This is what you mean to me. The first one is called Churched. Churched, I ask in kitchen light, hands soapy wet, held on air. You, set into shade, turn, then stay. You are laughing, yes, churched. You know well my ragged 13-year-old heart seeks out any slight against its kind, women, girls, other. Your cloth-soft embarrassment, not for me, but that they should humiliate you so. You, so new to mothering, to safeguarding baby souls, mine just then. Yes, you laugh, churched. To be churched, will be churched next week, Saturday at 10, was churched, to have been churched. Were you, are you churched? I am in youngness stunned. What, I ask, are you sure? Are you a reliable witness to your own hurt? Tell me again, churched, and still churched. The Berlin Wall is long down, the clash in voice, we, my others, rage about, ready, precise, and you, not my grandmother nor yours, but you, between London photo shoots and magazine ads. We are churched, they churched us. I say it over and over to hear it sound bell clear. Churched, encoded, disloved, cast beatifically out until priest soft hands cleanse the sap of childbirth. Mine, it turned out just then. And that, with sweet plainness, was my unlearning, a thread of wing and hip and heft away. Thank you. The living image. Leaning, distracted, applying mascara on the upstroke, I catch sight in the mirror of my mother, not loosely, ghostly, but precisely, exactly. This is ever a night-lit happening, never day. It's neither lamp, nor raised brow, nor wrist work. It is all of these together in the eye looking back at me, at her. I am stretched the length of girlhood on the bed behind. She is what? Getting ready to go out for the evening, the night, leaning, distracted, sinew accurate. I am brought folded to my knees quickly, awkwardly, gripping the edge of sink above in shoulder blade flick and span to wing. I breathe in her innocence, and straighten upward to open back the door. Thank you. This is called Rain Gathering. Recently in the Maynard Journal of Poetry, and I'd like to read it for Vin, a friend of mine who's here this evening. 1. Voiced quiet, lethal just, to read light off the sea. I want to say yes, but I am not Mcavoy. I am not this wintering book, this winter cold in hip and hold and breath. I open the door, it is not my door. I see my great-grandmother, she is not my great-grandmother. It is desert warm, it is not my heat. I am made in her absence, her folded sheets. It is not my making, my loss, my quieted bed quieted. 2. Light low to the floor of roofs on a learnt row of cottages opposite. We are bent to year's end. We are island people fighting for place, for placing. 3. A hail scatter of voice, a clamouring. What lack produced it? What lack sates it? It is noise, despair, constant, aching. 4. There is nothing to liken winter light. We cannot write it. We cannot sate it. I remember this city like a person, their waking before day. I remind myself there isn't anything to be done with this Irishness. There has been no year like it. Little fled, though a thing snapped free, tacked out away. I ask you, my mother's liked to say, I ask you. 5. Channeling winter schooling in tiniest earbuds under fleece scarves and puff jackets against every first morning of cold. It is never morning enough. It is never cold enough. It is, my own great-grandmother would say, wild cold just. 6. Once I dreamt we had to evacuate the earth. A calm, urgent task. I am in charge of logistics. My sleep mind teems with process and how to get everyone safely out of here. I am not proud of where I position myself in these dreams, central, often knowing. My first love rests in those who do not claim to know. I love these people most. I love these people. 7. Daily making the sea work smaller, smaller, to be sparse and more sparse, as though not here or here for very long. Thank you. This is a short poem that tries to do the biggest thing in the smallest space. It's called 21.3 grams. Marvel this in quiet so long, tenderness, gifted when expected least, when known least, a brief soul glimpse of sorrow for our leaving here. Such liquid-like pouring we are drenched through, grateful before cell and cell divide, grateful for sight and blinding both. And I'll close with a poem called Click Track. Some of you will know often in a music studio, in recording a song, you lay down a click track. And as the scaffolding and the architecture of the song grows and completes, you pull out the click track at the end and hope that everything remains standing. 1. Here shadowed out, falling in some light sculpture drop, laughing, placing rests down, double rests and down, to know such absence, such lack. Your here-ness gone from skin and sister bone. What is this day if later than your glow, your vanishing? After dayless while you hear the click, the tacit of click, though tracks lie passive in their electric charge, in their waiting. Sorry. 2. This, I think, is waste of kin. And why? To press against absence, lack so beautifully shaped around absence, lack. 3. Jesus, this. If we must, sibling, must we spin it out, must we, lightless, weightless, reach our ungathering, late and quiet, so that I will stand at rancid, muddied graveside, and you, so gone, have no recourse. I know you in this one sistering, nothing to unchange your onwardness. And yet we breathe still, you, I. 4. What harm you do, self-harm you do, so as to what? To feel a centered, living, fleshing, beating thing stop. In lessening for the joy, dark though it is, of breaking. 5. You liked to break things wholly, irreversibly, even as a child. My first bike, dismantled piece by tedious piece, behind the trailer home, heaped, forsaken. Someone's caravan abandoned in open field, then hurley smashed, formica scattered, glass raining down in damp sun.
Hello, thank you so much, everyone. My name is William Keohane, and I am a poet and non-fiction writer from Limerick. And hey, love for Limerick, we love that. And I'm so excited to be here tonight, and I'm also so excited for tomorrow night to hear the other 5 readers, some of whom are here. So I'd like to give maybe a little bit of context before I start reading. I am a trans man, and my identity and my transition features in a lot of my work. And another really sort of crucial part of my life and something that's core to my identity is that I'm a major fan of Taylor Swift. So I'd like to start with a love poem, and this is called The Careful Destruction of a Heartbeat, and I might ask you to keep a heartbeat in mind as I read it. Displace this space, I'll hold my breath. Your foot on my sternum will press. Open, crack open my chest. Take this softness, hold it. I have handed all of myself, this mess, to you, and you could do anything to this clay that makes me who I am. I have handed you all control of me. Remnants that you could wreck with ease. So if you do, please be soft. Destroy me carefully. In recent years, a lot has changed for me, most notably my voice and my face, but also my writing. I had my start with poetry, and I wrote a lot of poems in the sort of liminal time when I was waiting for healthcare and waiting to heal. And this next poem is one of those poems. It's a poem I wrote after coming home from a procedure in Toronto, and it's called Top Surgery. 2 lines of light, wounds open. The past drops out, a cluster of red stars from my chest and onto the table. Metal instruments, latex, vinyl wrapped, trained hands, mopped brows, pie slices of artificial brightness above. I look down at the flat plane, new man, and ask the air, is this mine? All of it, every inch of scar, and yes, the voice carrying me says, this is your chest. I typically write short poems, as you can probably tell, but my prose is where I like to expand upon work. And I wrote Top Surgery in the weeks after the surgery itself, and then this summer, once I had some time and some distance, I expanded it into a 10,000 word account, which is obviously a lot more detailed, as it would be. Top Surgery as well, I have to plug. It's in the Introductions ebook, which is available for free download until Monday, December 6th. Great, okay. One of the cool things about the ebook is it also includes prose from all of the Introductions writers, and it was amazing to get to read their prose and see sort of the poetic influence there. And one of the things that we did in the Introductions workshops with the poet Sean Hewitt was turn prose into poetry by taking a piece of text and cutting it up into little pieces and rearranging the words on a page. There are distinct differences between prose and poetry, but in my own work, the boundaries are a little more blurred. I'm not very good at fitting into boxes. For me, both are and can be interchangeable. And over the last few years, I've been revisiting my old poems and expanding on them and turning them into new works, which is similar in the way that the body changes over time. The same essence is there, the source material is there, but the form becomes something different. So to close, I'd like to share my poem Settling with you, and then an extract from a lyric essay that I wrote recently about my name and my parents. So this is Settling. Oh, slow, this passing of self into man. Slow, this blooming of gold. Slowly, my mother learns my new name and fits it to the hollow space beneath her tongue, covering the old one. Not he. I am not her son. Not yet. Not quite. It hasn't settled, nor have I, but maybe soon. Maybe. And now an extract from Locker. I am on the bus out to their home and it is late. The sun is setting on the horizon as I arrive, glowing pinkly through the trees, and I trace those familiar steps from the stop to the lawn to knock on the door, a frantic sound, a near mirror to the dull thudding beat of my heart in my throat and inside. The fire is lit. It is a cold night, mid-October. They have known me as a man for a few months, and we sit together. The two of them are on the couch, and I am sitting on a chair, a hard-backed seat. I ready myself to speak. I have been thinking a bit, I say, which is an understatement, about my name, and I was wondering, I wait. If you wanted to choose it for me. You do not have to, I reassure them. There is no pressure at all, but if you wanted to make the choice to help, it would mean a lot. An olive branch, this offering, a tree planted in times of peace. I look at their faces, the first faces I learned, the faces that I am a blend of, my mother's brow, her eyes, my father's nose, his mouth, and I wait. I can wait a little longer. I offer some suggestions. If I had been named a boy when I was born, I would have been Daniel, after my grandfather, but it might be best to start afresh, a name we don't already know, no family friends, no relatives. I offer ones I have prepared. We do not have a John or James. Like Joyce, my father says. You could be Stephen, Poldy Bloom. I laugh, relief. The mood has lightened. I give them time to think. Now they are offering names. Now it is a back and forth, an exchange. One finds its way into the air above us. What about Will? William. I imagine the sound of it. Hello, my name is. I imagine practicing it, the way I practiced it the first time around, spelling it out on a blue-lined Ashland copybook in my primary school class until the letters were rehearsed, until the sound of it had settled deep and it was learned. A silence fills the room, a crack of flames. Again, I wait. I could say Will, my mom tells me with a smile, a little hint. I could say my son, Will. And as she says these words, something is lifting, something falling. I do not think that she has called me son before. I can feel that it is right, this name, it must be right, the way she said it, the fire's heat upon my back, and still, lanugo hairs across my arms and neck are pricking up. Something shifting in my bones, my core. I ask them, do you want to wait a while? Try it out, see if it works. My dad says, can you give us a day to mull it over? One day. 24 more hours of namelessness. This time tomorrow, I'll ask them again. This time tomorrow, I'll know, and then if they say yes, I will call all my friends, I will tell them, and everyone else. And if they say yes, this will be the name I have forever. This will be written on my headstone when I die. This will be the name I come to love, the name I introduce myself as from now until the end, and there's so much more to come. So many people I will meet that I don't even know yet. My future is a long black cloth stretching out into the distance, and this could be the name I stitch into it. This could be the binding thread. I ask them again the next day. They say yes. Thank you for listening.
Something I know, the blank page does not sing. It glares and dares you, fool, to make your mark. See how it hisses, bristling till you balk, then rub it, smudging all its wild expanse. Other things I know. A leather journal cannot snare a word or hook a line any better than a pound shop notebook. A fountain pen can no more hunt for form than hotel pens or chewed up pencil stubs. Fluorescent lights will not illuminate your soul, nor two-for-ones, narcotic loops of mindless tunes where every little helps. I know that inspiration is not found feeding on ketchuped mounds of nuggets and bolognese, or startled by the beam of television screens. Step back, creature of low light, early dawn forages, twilight shufflings. Try to catch its breath on misty mornings, seek its tracks by evening. Though sometimes, when you least expect, it slips along with silent grace and licks your hand. The next poem is sort of a poem of the post-Celtic Tiger kind of ghost housing estate era, and it's called Reclaimed Pastoral. Corralled by chain link fence, corroded scaffold holds together the carcass of 3-bed semi-D dreams. A boarded porta-cabin proclaims the way to gracious living, but the prophets have departed. The dumpers have shaken the dust from their wheels, while the wind blows last year's leaves and leavings through the grey gape of empty windows. No privet pathways now. Chorus lines of ox-eye daisies sway on puddled roads. A royal of ragwort clambers over rubble heaps, rude against the gentle froth of willow herb. Concrete concedes. Budlia clings to a half-hung gutter, purple seductress for a rabble of butterflies, their flutter interrupted by an arc of swallows, unrepentant colonizers of unrendered gables. These will stay, fulfill a generation's promise, before gathering on dead-end cables for a chattering autumn exodus. The next two poems are related to a series of poems I wrote in relation to the 19th century botanist Ellen Hutchins, who came from Ballylickey. And she kept up a lovely correspondence with a fellow botanist in the UK whose name was Dawson Turner. They never actually met, but it was a really sympathetic correspondence. And when Ellen was ill, he wrote to her saying, "Preserve yourself with care, I beseech you." So this poem is called Self-Preservation. How might she do it? Pressed between sheets of blotting paper, or pinned, wingless and silent under glass? She could lie among apples in a straw-lined box, or with parsnips nestled in sawdust. She could hide from the cold under a cloche, nesting in a bed of freshest moss. So many ways. Cured in the smokehouse, laid out in the ice house, or soaked in a barrel of brine, candied, jellied, pickled, or potted, or fixed in a gobbet of fat. But no, not that, not after all. She will seal herself like a precious seed in yellow beeswax, bring to him scent of honey, spiced pollen, and warm cedar. This poem is sort of related to Ellen Hutchins in that it came from Coolock Bay on the Beara Peninsula, and Ellen Hutchins herself walked the kind of landscape of the Beara Peninsula. And it's about a single goose, and it's called Brent. What then is the signal to go? The sun low in its arc, the yellowing moss, or the drift of downy white, a scrim of ice on tundra pools? Do you shuffle forward, seaward, ruffle feathers, ruck, ruck, stretch your wings out, up? Is it the pull of go, the push of fly, the open sky that leads to this beat on beat over the seas of Baffin Bay, coasting the fjords of Greenland, soaring over ice caps, heart pumping to push to 3,000 meters, find the current to bring you down the Denmark Strait to Iceland, a time at least to feed on eel grass. Then gather the last reserves, fly low, follow the stars. Or is it the sun that spurs you on through Atlantic gales to land at last at Strangford Lough, or a stretch of Darndale wasteland to graze with travellers' piebalds? So what went wrong that brings just one to Coolock Bay in September, where your fellows pray to kestrels or hunters' guns in Iceland? Or did your compass point you here for a solitary journey's end? And the final two poems that I'm going to read both refer to mothers, but in very different ways. The first poem is called Mama Pinocchio. Married 20 years and no children. I won't go into details. Suffice to say, he was more interested in his lathe and what he could do with it. In the end, I said, let's adopt. But that wouldn't do him in his workshop of an evening, dust in the air, carving a sun in his own image. Look what I got. A boy, not of my stock, no seed of mine in those eyes like pine nuts, nor that wooden face, and his gait, all those fits and starts. Bad enough that he had those polished cheeks. I still might have been able to pass him off as, well, different, but for one thing, the lies. My God, the lies. Call it what you like. Fibs, falsehoods, fabrications. The boy was dishonest to the core. It was the one thing that showed on his face. I could always tell. I said nothing good would come of it. His father was already old, too old to control a wayward boy with a predilection for deception. And now he's dead. The lad was devastated right enough, face ashen. No tears, of course. I worry now what the future holds for him, for me. He's sly, tries to catch my eye, take my hand in his. Oh, the feel of that smooth little hand. He parrots words, says Mama, says he loves me. I must harden my heart against him in case he lures me into believing. And the last poem is about my mother, and she's not like Mama Pinocchio. And it's about a morning ritual that she has with, or had with, her dog Jasper in the morning, and sadly Jasper died in the spring. So it's called Mum and Jasper in the morning. She rises before 8 to oversee his peeing, no matter what the season, weather, or her own inclination. Downstairs, she ignores her damn knee, and while he leaps in circles, she makes a cup of tea, takes an old raincoat slung over her dressing gown, and opens the door onto the garden. Onto darkness, or lemon dawn, or barley sugar skies, or low-slung cloud and seeping rains, or the trickle drip from last night's storm, the pots tossed on wind-blown grass, or soaring birdsong, or onto stillness, a hush of frost, a slip of muffled snow, or the grey heron unfolding from the dark pond. While he snuffles through soil or poppies or sodden leaves, she pauses to lift a drooping hellebore, scour her hostas, pluck and crush a snail underfoot, brush past a salvia, deadhead a rosebush, pickpocket seed pods, water saplings in the greenhouse. Though why she bothers she doesn't know, having no more space to grow anything. And yet, she turns back up the garden again, calling for Jasper, carrying inside earth on her feet, scent of salvia on her hands. Thank you very much.
So we haven't really had the opportunity to do many in-person events this year for obvious reasons. And I actually just feel like my soul has been so refueled by tonight. Those readings and the music were absolutely stunning. So like every other organization in the world, we encountered a ton of challenges in trying to make sure that introductions happened this year. We had multiple date changes, and we moved the Poets post-workshop glass of wine to Poetry Ireland's car park. So throughout all of it, our facilitators Sean Hewitt, Afric McKay, Jessica Traynor, and Anne-Marie Quran have been unrelentingly brilliant and so generous with their wisdom and time, as is every poet who read here tonight. A huge thank you to Sasha White, Eoin Mc Evoy, Sonia Guildia, William Keohane, and Laura McKenna. So you can read more of their work in our digital anthology, which is called This Is What You Mean to Me. I don't know if you noticed, but on the way in, you can see a sign which has the cover of the ebook, and there's a QR code. So if you scan the QR code with your phone, you can download it then and there. It's also on our website, which is poetryireland.ie. So a huge thank you to my colleagues Paul Lenihan and Owen Rogers for their Trojan work in preparing this anthology for publication. I'd also like to give a huge thank you to Bróna Keogh for sharing some of her stunning songs with us. I would say that her show this Sunday at Whelan's with Danny Larkin is one you don't want to miss if tickets are still available. A huge thank you to Smock Alley for their gracious hosting of tonight's event and their beautiful venue. A huge thank you to the Arts Council, as always, and to you, our audience, for your generous attention and support. So I'll leave you now for one more tune from Bróna, and please enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much.
I'm having a great time, by the way. I'm sitting over there. I find it all very inspiring, and I think chicken nuggets are really inspiring. I know in your I was like, chicken nuggets and ketchup, that sounds class. Yeah, this is great. This is class. Fair play to you. It's amazing. It's so cool. Human brains. What the fuck? Just like the amount of different images, and God, it's amazing. Anyway, this is a song called Pack My Bags. Yep. And will you do me a favour after, right? Because it's kind of serious, right? And there's a lot of seriousness. Can we all have a little shake after, you know, get some of that trauma energy off us? Because I'd feel bad leaving you all kind of with that buzzing around. If we can just... Anyway, after. We'll get there. I miss you more than I thought that I could when I packed my bags and boarded a plane to Colombo, then on to St. Helier's Bay, where the evening light pours down in a pink and yellow haze. But I still fear the man in my bed. I forget to lock my door, and he rears his sleepy head. But your voice and your hands, yeah, they're nowhere to be seen. I'll never forget all the things that I left when I packed my bags and flew across the sea. And I could be in the trees, but my phone is depleting, and